Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the Flat Earth Debate community, then go to nathanoakley.com and join the Flat Earth Debate community there to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a Patreon, PayPal and crypto link in the info box below the video. Now, we're currently joined by quite a few guests as we are in the interim stages between the two debates, so I'm going to pass over to them while I set up for the live show.
Wow. So I didn't know that could happen. I didn't know people could actually do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that can happen. All right.
So
as soon as I saw Issa in chat say "not me," I was like, "Oh boy!" And then everybody froze, and I was like, "Yeah, we just got sniped."
Yeah, and if you reach out to Google, they actually say that's a feature and not a flaw.
Okay.
Well, I find it interesting that it happened at all because I can't recall anything in the past month where people have been sniped. And then all of a sudden today, it's weird.
And that was fast. That was everybody in a few seconds.
Yeah, once they get in the back chat, it's over quickly. So, but it can take some time before they can actually access it.
So anytime somebody joins this hangout, they're automatically added to the back chat?
Nope. They have to do that actively in a separate window of Google Hangouts.
Okay.
But you can't get in right away, usually. Usually you have to click, and then it's like, oh, something else pops up, just a conversation tree, until at a point it becomes available. It's seemingly random. Sometimes it takes really long to get in there. Sometimes it's right there immediately. I don't know. Another oddity of the Google Hangout system.
Sounds like more like a back door.
It is. But it's probably because the entire Hangout system is just, it doesn't seem like it was all designed as a one unified thing. It's all these separate systems that have been stitched together and made to work. But yeah, the Google Hangouts, the YouTube, all these different things that seem like different systems all put together to make
Dave,
one thing.
Sorry, Arvin.
No problem.
So Dave, I wanted to ask you how you felt about that last debate you had with that physicist, because it seems like he wasn't prepared at all. Like maybe he signed up for it and didn't even read an article about it. That's what it seemed like to me anyway, because he had nothing for you. How did you feel about that?
Well, the thing is, I didn't organise this debate. The two guys who were sitting in the middle organised it, and I was just a participant. And I met Pierre in the car on the way to the place, and on the way there, he was super confident. He was, he even seemed smug. Actually, he thought it was going to be a walk in the park. So I thought, obviously he's been prepared and he knows what he's, how he's going to, try and take me on this. But yeah, it was a bit of a shock when he got to the first question and he didn't know how to answer it.
Exactly. It's hilarious to me.
But
literally, he did seem very
confident.
smug in the beginning. He really did seem smug, and by the end, he was like, "I don't even know where I am."
Yeah.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to join the Flat Earth debate community, go to nathanoakley.com and join the Flat Earth debate forum to keep up to date with the forum Flat Earth debate. And if you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. And there's also a PayPal, Krypton, Crypto, if I can get these names right, and Patreon link in the info box below this video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by Karen B, The Plain Truth, Dave the Moor, as he's named on in the Hangout, Chris, Chocolate Sane, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Hello. What?
Right.
Good
Hello.
morning.
I got the back chat now this time. I got in there.
Good to hear it.
I'm ready.
I just find it strange that we were sniped at all because it wasn't. It's just.
But it hasn't happened for a long time.
I
now, has
know.
it?
Yeah.
Perhaps it was a subject matter.
Yeah, but it was so innocuous. I mean, really?
Maybe it has to do with some of these people that do this. You know, they just noticed, hey, Nathan's no longer live streaming because of the strikes, and they just kind of forgot about it. And they recently were reminded, like, hey, did you know it's going again? Oh yeah, let's go sniping. So they just, yeah, they came back.
Fair enough. So, Karen, you there?
Yes, I am.
I often get to have you in while we do housekeeping, so I'm going to rattle my way through it, and I'm going to direct some of the questions at you for obvious reasons. So, any signs of curvature?
Not that I have ever seen, no.
And you're out looking for it. Amazing. About axial rotation?
No, not at all.
Oh, this is easy. About any evidence of any scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
Gravity.
Scientific? No.
Science!
Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container? It's open to everybody, by the way, not necessarily Karen. The curvature one was specifically aimed at her.
No way.
Nah. Obstruction.
Without the balloon, there is no pressure.
No. That's
Conspiracy
the one that
Cats,
bothered me the most
2018.
when I was in school. The gas pressure thing next to the vacuum. That always bothered me.
It didn't bother me because I was well able to actually imagine what was required for that to work out. And I, like, yeah, of course, there's like a gravity shield. There must be like a gravity fluctuation at height. And at some point, it's just so strong that it actually manages to keep the air inside. So, yeah, I was a real science fiction head.
We're back.
Yeah, I was never able to resolve that one.
Back live, Nathan. We got sniped, I think, yes?
You think?
I think so, yeah. I was removed.
Right, let's just get through the last few. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No signs of that.
So I have a question on that one.
Go ahead.
Do people still say that they're like Arwen and Riley say there's no, I forget how they say it, no distance to the sun or no?
There is no distance to the sun.
So if one could prove angular size change, would that disprove that statement? In other words, if you can show that the sun is moving farther away as it circles the plane and closer as it gets, closer to your latitude or whatever, and it's getting smaller in angular size or larger, would that disprove that claim?
Well, I would think noticing a change in its size would be pretty different than actually figuring out exactly how far it is away from you, right? Distance, that would be a different thing than a size change, right?
Right. Well, it wouldn't tell you how far it is, but it would disprove that there is no distance to it. That means that, or it would disprove that it's not some sort of physical object, right? The physical object, if it's moving farther and closer away as it moves across the plane, and it's changed it, and you know that if it's changing its angular size. Or not. I'm asking the question.
Well, I mean, from my experience when we track the sun, the thing that became most obvious is that in the same way as if you try and get the relative position of a rainbow, I'll just go straight to the analogy because it's easier for people to conceptualize. If you're trying to walk around a rainbow, what happens?
It keeps moving with you as you move.
Right. Exactly the same thing as happens with the sun, right?
I'm not so sure. That it might be an apparent move, but it also might actually be moving.
Well, you've struck on the word perfectly immediately. It's an apparent position, right?
The rainbow's an apparent position. The sun, I'm not so sure.
Well, I would say it's self-evidently in an apparent position because we don't know what it is, or where it is, or how to measure where it is, how to triangulate it. All of these things are impossible. Not impossible, but they lead you to false conclusions.
Well,
my question would be, why are you so hesitant to give that same observation to the sun? You know, what is it that's keeping you from acknowledging that that's a possibility?
So one of my recent tests I've done was based on my $100 globe challenge, which was to mimic the 24-hour sun on a ball. And one of the tests I did actually this morning was I mimicked, if you've ever seen those videos, you notice the sun bobs up and down, right? And it goes up in the sky, almost out of frame, and then it appears to go down as the sun moves across the plane, and the camera is always rotating right in a 360-degree motion. Okay, so I thought, well, how is the sun bobbing or appearing to bob up and down at least on, and I'm going to get yelled at for this, on the flat model, if there is such a thing, the sun goes farther away from you, right, as it circles the plane, and then it comes back closer to you as it circles back around. So what I did was I put a fake sun on a chair in my living room, and I pushed it closer to the camera. And as I pushed it closer to the camera, it got higher up in the video frame. And as I pulled it back from the camera, you know, mimicking it going away from you, it got lower in the frame. And as I did that in a right directional pattern, it looks like it's bobbing up and down. So it actually mimicked a nearly identical pattern as you see in those 24-hour, you know, Arctic sun videos. So that tells me right there that it is moving. So that tells me the sun is moving itself, not the Earth, and B, it tells me that it's, at least the way I did it, I was able to reproduce that effect by moving it farther away and closer. The height of the object stayed the same. I didn't change the height because I taped it to a chair and I moved the chair. So as the chair got closer to the camera, and thus this object, this little sun I had, or whatever it was, it got higher in the frame, and as it moved away, it got lower. So that's what tells me it's a physical object.
A physical object or a focus of light, because you know, an actual focus of light could appear as a physical object from that perspective, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I don't know, but I wanted to be able to reproduce that effect, since I made this challenge to the Globers to do it on their model, and I thought, well, that it's only fair if I'm able to reproduce a similar effect on some sort of a flat plane, plus the the assumed theory right now, right, again, is if the sun circles above the plane, if it's over, let's say you're at the equator, right, as it's overhead, it's going to be much, much closer to you, versus if it's on the other side, 180 degrees away, it's going to be much, much farther. So that's how so if you think about it, right, we have a natural phenomena of the sun, and we have a hypothesis that if the sun's farther, it will be lower, and if the sun's closer, it will be higher in the video frame, at least. And I used that hypothesis and that research to mimic the sun, the 24-hour sun, at least, on a flat surface, moving 360 degrees to the right. Now, I didn't do a full 360. I don't have enough room in my living room. I did about, I don't know, 90 degrees maybe, 100 degrees. But so it doesn't answer the question, the distance. I just wanted to sort of push back on there is no distance. It's possible that there is a distance to the sun.
Okie dokie. Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container?
No.
Nope.
Can you bypass an antecedent?
No. The antecedent consequent relationship is it just is. You can't bypass an antecedent. No. The necessary antecedent for gas pressure being something to press upon, i.e. a container.
Exactly.
Okay, what about evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Eleanor doesn't like it.
No, at all, no, Nathan.
Last but not least, the R value.
No.
No R.
No of that.
It exists in math.
But is that it? So I'll just quickly say to Arwin. So Arwin, I was talking with M. Scott Beach. You know M. Scott? Have you heard of that guy, M. Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going back and forth with him.
Hold on.
And
Sorry. No, I haven't. Who's M. Scott Veach?
Sorry.
Who's this person you speak of called M. Scott Veach?
Okay. So he's the son of an astronaut. He's a ball earther. He defends the ball. He argues for the ball earth. And the reason why I bring him up is because I was discussing with him about gravity and things like that, flat earthers, and he was saying, flat earthers lie or say the wrong information. But he said he agrees with Arwin's version of gravity. Because I said to him, so which flat earther do you agree with, or do you think says something right? He said Arwin. He said Arwin's version of gravity. So I was under the impression that Arwin has a different understanding of gravity to what, I don't know if we have or anybody else has, or is it different? Is it the same as the ball earthers, Arwin? What is this gravity?
Well, it takes away mass attracting mass, basically. That was what my original version of gravity was. And yeah, as I explained it, I pretty much came to the conclusion that it is an aberration. Suggestion of different phenomena that heavily suggest a unified force disequilibrium being present. But it's suggestive, it's an aberration. So maybe he agrees to that, because technically, scientifically, that is correct. But I don't know, maybe he just didn't see the updates and still stuck in the force disequilibrium standard.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just agrees with you because you refuse to absolutely discount gravity as a thing altogether. You know what I mean? As long as you have some sort of gravity in your mind, I guess maybe that's what he agrees. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't really.
Could be. Maybe he's gonna settle for the ghost, for the aberration. I don't know. So,
okay, Dave, what is your view on gravity, density, and things like that? Is it a force? Do you agree with Arwin? I mean, do you even understand what Arwin? His viewpoint and things like that, because it's supposed to be different to how we see things. So I don't know if you've heard or what you think about that. Yeah,
I haven't I don't know Arwen's conception of gravity. Again, I don't see it in terms of gravity as such. I see it that you know, the directionality is a necessary component of this realm, so that life can exist. If there wasn't this you know, directionality, then nothing could exist here. So it's just that it's, you know, we're trying to conceptualize something, you know, sort of understand it, where we don't really need to understand it. It's just something that needs to happen for life to exist. Yeah. In one of my videos, actually my first ever flat earth video, in the introduction, I said one of the things we have to accept is the ant's perspective, which is basically saying that you know, if an ant was walking across the runway and a jumbo jet landed next to it, there's no way an ant could understand or conceptualize what just happened. It would just be this huge tumultuous event, and he wouldn't know about the ins and outs of a Boeing 747. Right. So, you know, there's no earthly reason why we need to know how this directionality works. Yeah, I call it directionality because, you know, the way I see it, if you drop a weight, it will accelerate to the Earth 9.81 meters per second. If you get a helium balloon, or I say that, but depending on the air pressure around it or the friction and all that, you know, it will follow that path. If you let go of a helium balloon, it will go up at the same rate, you know, depending on the air pressure and friction and all that. It's just directionality.
So I think what it is, Dave. Arwen, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you saying there's a force? Dave, are you saying there is a force or no force? That's what I'm trying to find out here.
I'm saying I don't care.
Okay, fine, fair enough.
Right. Well, I'm saying there is an apparent force.
Okay.
It's not really a force. You can't prove a force.
My interpretation is just Arwen is trying to describe. Obviously, we all know there's a down, and I think that's what he's trying to describe. Now, why everything goes in that particular direction, why is down what it is, I guess we don't know, and that's why he calls it an aberration. But I think he's just using that word as far as to describe things going down. I mean, I could be wrong, but
yeah,
I've been listening to Arwen enough to kind of think where he's trying to go. Because you do kind of confuse people with this gravity thing, Arwen, obviously.
It is very confusing. But no, what I'm saying is that you can deduce heavily that a force disequilibrium is present at all time and explain all kinds of phenomena out there with them very consistently. But it's just an illusion. It's a side effect of the way reality is constructed, because there is no force really present. It's everything else. And as far as what we can prove is relative density.
Well, Mr. Scott agrees with you, Arwen. He's a supporter of your, you know, of this idea of gravity. But it is confusing, like you were saying. Yeah, it's complicated. But I don't think things are being pulled, Arwen, like being pushed or pulled. Things fall, things go up, things fall, in my opinion.
Well, to the force disequilibrium, that's why I keep calling it that, not a push or a pull. It's not even relevant.
Oh no, we got a couple of new guests. Max Morgan, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Hey,
Hello,
it's
Max.
Anon.
Max?
Yes, I can. Hang on, let me mute my other. There we go.
No worries. How you doing? Is it Anon? How you doing?
They just spoke up.
Pretty good.
Good to have you both.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I would like to address your density question.
Yeah, the gravity. So, is it a pulling force, a pushing force? What is it? What is gravity?
It's a pulling force.
It's an attraction. It's called the law of universal gravitation. It's a law.
So if it's a law would be something that we observe happening always. So can you show me?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so can you show me mass attracting mass always?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Oh, excellent. Let's see.
Okay, you'd like an example of an experiment that you could use to reproduce
excuse me.
this?
Natural laws deal with the natural world. So why are you telling me about an experiment? Show me mass attracting mass always.
Okay.
That's your claim.
Yes, it is. It's a very weak force. It's described as a weak force, isn't it?
Sorry, this sounds like a description of what it is rather than you showing me mass attracting mass always.
Okay, if I was to show you, I could show you via an experimentation, correct?
No, that's not a natural phenomena. Do you not know what experimentation...
Why not?
Sorry, why are you talking over me? It's not a natural phenomena. I'm asking you to show me the natural phenomena. Show me mass attracting mass. That would be a phenomena. And you're saying, I'll take you to an experiment. Well, that comes considerably after you observe a natural phenomena if you're going to claim that you've got science for this.
Yes, you can observe the natural phenomenon with an experiment.
No, dickhead. That's not how science works.
Well,
you don't observe it with an experiment. Shut up! Stop talking over me. Stop talking over me. I haven't finished. If you carry on, I will kick you out. The first step in the scientific method, what is it?
Starts with O.
Hello?
Oh, you're asking me?
The person claiming science, what's the first step in the scientific method?
What claim did I make about science?
You're telling me you've got an experiment. That's science.
Experiments is an observation.
Excuse me, an experiment is a hypothesis test. You don't know what science is. An experiment is not an observation, it is a hypothesis test. Are you stupid? Or are you asserting that you know something you do not? Is this Dunning-Kruger? What's the problem here? I'll say it for a third time to your stunned silence. An experiment is not an observation as claimed by you, a moron. It is a hypothesis test. Okay? Say yes.
Oh, I apologize. I thought this was a debate. I didn't think that this was
you've claimed you've got an experiment when I've asked you to show me a natural phenomena. I say, show me mass attracting mass always. You say, I've got an experiment, implying science. An experiment being a hypothesis test. Yes, this is a debate, one where I understand science and you do not. So, do you have the capacity to show me mass attracting mass always?
Do you have the capacity?
Don't ask me something.
Rather than
support your bloody claim.
Dominance.
Stop asking me something and support your claim.
You're playing a primate dominance game.
Kick him.
Quit playing a primate dominance game.
No, show me your claim. You say mass attracting mass happens always. Show me.
Okay. Mass attracted to the Earth. There is one example.
That's an experiment.
Your mass of your body is attracted to the Earth.
That's a begging the question fallacy.
If you would like me to
I'm stopping you because you're using a begging the question fallacy. You are assuming the Earth is a sphere, correct? And we are attracted to the centre of said sphere. That's begging the question.
No. Nope, wrong. Incorrect.
So you're not assuming we are attracted to the centre of the mass through this force of gravity. That's not what you're asserting.
Doesn't matter if the mass is flat. It doesn't matter if it's a sphere. Mass attracts mass.
So show me. That's a religious assertion if you don't demonstrate it.
No, it's not.
So show it us then.
That's a fallacy.
You haven't shown us your claim.
Hey, how come a foam doesn't get attracted to a giant mountain?
Because the mountain doesn't have as much mass.
Why are you answering this guy's question? Why is it we've now moved on? Are you going to back your assertion?
To the largest matter of mass. Now, if you'd like to stick on topic, we can.
Excuse me. You have come with a claim of a universal law of gravitation. I'm saying
yes, it's a law.
Are you still talking over me? Don't do the dominance game, my friend.
Oh,
Yeah?
like you are.
Yeah, you were talking over me. Now I'm throwing your accusation at me back at you, and you're doing it again. Don't play the dominance game, my friend. Don't be an alpha male.
I mean, don't play the dominance game like you are.
Yeah, don't play the dominance game.
Oh, because you're better at it.
Yeah, you're damn right I am.
Oh,
now
because
show me
you're more
mass
dominant.
attracting mass.
You're
always.
more dominant. That proves you're right.
I am.
Oh.
So show
Right.
me your claim
Right.
that mass attracts mass always.
Yes,
Go back to that.
mass attracts mass always.
Yeah, that's a
show
religious
it.
assertion.
reason you-
Unless you can bloody demonstrate it, you stupid religious zealot. It's just your religious belief in this shit. So demonstrate it. Don't just claim it. That's a religious assertion.
Like I said, demonstrate it with an experiment.
No. Oh, so you circle jerk asshole is not only stupid, but you can't listen. I've said this twice. An experiment is a hypothesis test. Yeah? So it's not the observation. You haven't got a phenomena conjured from an experiment. The first step in the scientific method is to observe a phenomena. I keep asking you, and you're playing the dominance game by talking over me and ignoring what I'm asking for. If you're going to claim you've got an experiment and you're doing it again, because you seem to be projecting your playing of the dominance game while you talk over me. I have a point. You have ignored it. My point being that the experiment stage is not the first step. The first step,
Doesn't matter.
if he can contain himself while he plays the dominance game again. So if you can contain yourself, I'll say it for about the 5th time. The first step is observe a phenomena. That's why I keep asking you to show me the phenomena of mass attracting mass. Every time I do so, you circle jerk us back to about step 4, which is experiment stage. That comes after you observe the phenomena, the same phenomena I'm asking you to show me, which you've not yet done.
I've explained it.
Can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
Okay, so what? Who am I talking to? The baller? Who are you?
Max.
Oh, okay, hi Max. Hi. Okay, so I'm gathering that you're seeing an observation. Okay, what is the observation you're seeing?
I'm seeing that mass attracts mass.
No, you're describing something. Tell me.
Be specific, Max.
Yeah,
Be
specific. What do you mean, mass attracting mass? Because
So do you see a car attracting to another
No,
car?
no.
Do you see a snooker ball attracting
Let me
to
try a
another
different
ball?
tack.
No,
Sorry, Spurs.
I
Sorry,
see-
Travis. Sorry. Let's try a different word. Where?
Yes, I can see.
Where?
I can see
Oh,
a
he's triggered
lead-
already.
I
I'm
can
talking,
see-
so he's got to be talking
Okay.
too, hasn't he? This
I thought you
arrogant
wanted an
dick
answer.
on a
I
power
thought I
trip
was
trying
asked
to
a
play the
question. Am I
dominance
not-
game.
am not allowed to
Yeah,
answer the
yeah, dominance
question?
game from an asshole.
Can I answer the question?
Yeah, it's
Can I
okay, my
answer
friend,
it?
my beta male friend.
Okay, I'm not- I
It's
can't
okay,
answer
my
it.
beta
Okay,
male
go
friend.
ahead.
I will continue to talk
I would like to
regardless of
try to
your
ask-
claim to be an alpha. You're not. That would be me, the person running the show. Quite literally. So, you will shut the fuck up while I talk, okay? Excellent. So, demonstrate the phenomena of mass attracting mass. And if you can't, tell us where we can observe this phenomena. Where?
Okay. Am I allowed to answer now?
yes, you are.
Oh, thank you.
That's what the pause is for.
Now, if you take a large lead ball,
So, asshole fails immediately and starts describing something when I have asked very specifically with a very elongated question, where? That would be a location, not a description of apparatus, but a specific location, denoted by the word where.
Nathan, take a breath. Yeah, let him talk. Let him put his point out.
oh no,
and,
if this is
we'll
just a
see.
game about who can overtalk who,
Well,
Nathan wins.
The thing is, Dave, he's
Nathan
not
wins
answering-
every
he's-
time.
Well, hold, Max, you're answering your own.
No, you don't want a conversation. You
No,
want
no,
to
no,
talk
Max,
over me
Max,
and
please.
assert your dominance.
Come
Go
on,
ahead.
Max, you're not being specific. We're asking.
I am being specific. I get cut off.
Okay, so the premise is, where have you seen this natural phenomenon? Where have you seen this?
Go.
Okay. You can observe it if you take a large
Max, please.
lead ball
Max, please.
and take.
Max,
Okay, I can't
Max,
answer.
Spurs. Spurs. Listen, now I'm treating you like Nathan. Let him finish. He's trying to say that if you take a lead ball, okay, now go, Max.
But I didn't ask that. I asked him, where has he
Just let him
seen...
finish. Just
okay,
let him
fine.
finish.
Go ahead, Max.
If you take a large lead ball and a smaller lead ball and you suspend them and isolate them from other attractions,
now I'm going to have
you
to
can
jump in.
observe. You can observe that the lead balls are attracted to each other.
Okay, Cavendish.
Really?
Have you done this
Sorry,
yourself?
hold on, guys.
To a
Hold
mountain
on.
because it doesn't have a mass as large as the Earth. So why would it work with two lead balls and not something going to a mountain?
Yeah,
Max,
because
you failed to
wait, I got to
realize-
answer. Wait, I got to ask the question. Can I answer that question? Jesus Christ!
No, but because
haven't answered my
oh
question.
no, I can't. Oh, okay, I
It's
can't.
because you haven't
Settle
answered my
down,
question
Max.
yet.
Settle down. Listen.
Travis,
You
What's
are
the reason
now
for asking questions if they're just rhetoric?
Yeah, I'm asking a question of where, and you've described how to build something. Now, I'll ask again.
Anywhere on Earth you can
do you
see
mind
it.
just letting me answer?
All these lead balls growing off trees.
Sorry.
I completely agree with
Sorry,
Nathan.
can I
You
just
have
get
not
my sentence in
answered
without you interrupting
where
me, please?
You have seen this observation, Max.
Yeah. So you've described something. You've described building something. Now, the words used were, where do you observe this natural phenomena? So clearly you don't understand what a natural phenomena is, given that you've described... Sorry, I hadn't quite finished my sentence. Triggered, aggressive, dominant, female, can't help talking. Yeah, you're going to talk... Is this just a contest for who can talk over who?
Again, I can't
hadn't
talk,
quite finished, had I?
I guess if I'm not
I hadn't quite finished. Yeah, Mr. Dominant Male. So, you haven't observed a natural phenomena when you take your lead balls and suspend them. That would be a man-made device, not a natural phenomena. So you still haven't answered, and he still can't contain himself. My God, you have some sort of inefficiency with your brain. When someone else talks, my friend, wait for a pause. Don't just assert that everyone's talking over you when you are in fact the one talking over everybody. So, I'll try and get to the end of the sentence. Let's see if you can stop ejaculating. So...
Okay, go ahead, make your fallacious...
You don't need to give me permission. I run this show. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the words specifically used were natural phenomena. Something that occurs in nature. So your description of a man-made device does not cut it. I would like to go back to my original question. Where do you observe the phenomena of mass attracting mass? Naturally.
That is naturally.
Yeah, natural
Wait, I have
phenomena.
Your allegation is completely false. Your allegation is completely false to say that that's not
calm
natural.
down. Calm
because
down.
you built something.
Max.
No, that is a completely false allegation.
Max,
I reject your
question.
assertion.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Is it natural for two perfectly round lead balls to be suspended next to each other? Is that a natural occurrence?
Oh.
Then it's not a natural phenomenon you're observing.
Let him answer. Let him answer.
Your argument is completely fallacious. I'm sorry. That is a completely fallacious argument.
Why? Why, Max?
Why is that fallacious? You were asked, where do we notice this in nature, natural, and you continue to bring up lead balls hung by a string. Where do I go to find lead balls hanging by a string in nature?
Oh, come on.
Phenomenons can be natural whether they've been constructed or not.
It's phenomena, not phenomenons. There's no nuns among phenomena.
No,
is it
natural
constructed
means not made by man.
Contrived?
So wait a minute. So because you claim that it's not natural,
he's learning.
Then that completely obliterates the fact that they attract each other. Is that what you're saying? Oh,
No
so
shit.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah,
oh,
it doesn't.
So it's false.
That's why we're asking
because
for where
it's
it
not
happens
natural.
naturally.
I see.
Well, put it like
if
this,
you want to go to natural, I know where you're going to go.
Max, can you replicate a sunset in a laboratory like that? Can you replicate curvature in a laboratory?
That has we're talking about gravity. Can we stick on one topic? Can we stick to one topic?
Gravity is natural. It's supposed to be a natural force, not made by man. So just
Right,
like lightning or any other thing that's naturally occurs, you can replicate in laboratory, or you can't. Like sunsets, you can't replicate sunsets and the light.
How can I question you this?
Go on.
Do apples hang naturally off of a tree?
Yeah.
Okay. So, can you measure the attraction between the apples hanging off of the tree?
I don't know. Can you? Can you measure that attraction?
No,
What
because you
attraction?
can't measure it that small. So in order that you need to bring something into a larger mass in order to measure that attraction.
So
Okay?
What
That's
attraction?
why you go
Sorry,
for lead
sorry.
balls.
It seems like sorry to interrupt. Sorry, bear with me a second. I'm a bit confused. It seems like you've now just
I wasn't
decided.
allowed to finish.
Can you stop
Okay,
talking?
I'm not allowed to finish again.
Yeah,
Not allowed
because
to
you seem
finish.
to be begging the question. You seem to be just telling us that there's an attraction. And now I've asked where the attraction lies and can be observed. So should I go to an apple on a tree to observe this attraction?
I said I just explained that you can't because it's not strong enough on an
So,
apple.
so what you're saying is we can't observe the attraction. So there is no natural phenomena of this attraction.
Okay. Can I answer now? If you had a measuring device that was what do you call if they could measure fine enough, small enough, yes, you could measure the attraction between the two apples. Absolutely.
What attraction?
The attraction of universal gravitation, the law of universal gravitation.
We're back to square one. Show me where I can observe mass attracting mass. I'm looking at an apple right now. I don't see it attracting another apple. What the hell are you talking about?
So you're saying that only if you can see it, if the force is only big enough for you to see, otherwise it doesn't exist.
No, that's what a natural phenomenon.
There has to be a phenomena in order to prove it
Can I just respond
scientifically.
to that? So
Okay,
no,
well, we would
in order
start-
to observe,
start
why am I
with
being talked
looking at
over continually?
things.
You've made your assertion about your bloody apple with no attraction going on, and just asserted that we have a force that we must measure, even though it's not been observed yet.
And you're saying that because you can't observe the two apples attracting each other, that they're not attracting each other.
No, I'm saying I don't observe the two bloody apples attracting each other, you complete dick.
Right, because you can't see it that small.
So what you're saying is, it's something that we can't see, we don't observe, but we should start measuring it.
No, don't put words in my mouth. That's not true.
Well, where do I observe it? Back to square one. Where's this happening? Where's the natural phenomena of mass attracting mass always?
Okay. That would be all of the objects sticking to the Earth. Always.
Sorry, that's not mass attracting mass. That's relative density.
No, if you want to talk about...
I was waiting for you to get there.
Right, I knew he was going to go there as soon as... Now, if you'd
No,
like to talk about relative density, I would
No,
love...
I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you, sir. I knew that you were going to get to the only thing that you can point to is people are attracted to the Earth. That's it. That's all you got.
And that's attraction. Now, if you want to talk about buoyancy and density,
sorry.
I would love to.
Can you prove that that's attraction?
Yeah, I just want to give you another example, Max, if you can contain your verbal diarrhea for a couple of moments and not talk over every word. So, we were given an example at the beginning of the last show by Dave Murphy. We take 15 kilos of one substance and 15 kilos of another substance and we drop them both. What happens?
Well, it depends upon their density.
Oh, so it is about relative density then?
No, it's not.
Well, you just said it depends on the density, but now you're saying it does not depend on the density. That seems like doublespeak.
No, it's not.
So it's not to do with their relative density, it's to do with gravity, even though when I asked what happens to these two individual items that we drop, you immediately say it's down to their density.
Right, because the air is more dense than certain objects. It's going to be pushed down. And when the air gets pushed down by gravity, it pushes...
sorry, you seem to be inserting this religious belief that you've not demonstrated yet into this example. Why would you do such a thing? You don't need to insert your religious belief into this explanation. You've not demonstrated gravity. Gravity would be this universal law you claim of mass attracting mass always, but cannot be observed, is never demonstrated, and has never been seen. But you're just going to insert your religious belief into this example, even though you haven't actually shown it occurring. You bloody fundy zealot.
Your religious belief is density.
No, that was your answer.
No, yours.
No, what do you mean hand wave dismissal? That was your word. You said density, not me, you stupid dick.
Right, density is related to gravity.
Oh, is it really? So you are going to stick your religious fundamentalist belief into this explanation, where you have relative density causing these things, your go-to. But you've not shown mass attracting mass, you've not given us a demonstration, you don't have an observed phenomena, but you are, like a fundy zealot, going to insert it into this explanation with no demonstrable proof of it.
Gravity is just relative density's cousin twice removed, and nobody's heard what he's been up to. Some people think he's dead.
May
but
I?
We still have the memory of him.
May I interject? May I make a point?
I'm still yet to see you demonstrating mass attracting mass. You just keep inserting it into your explanations like a religious fundamentalist. Like it's true, even though you've not demonstrated it.
May I talk now?
Are you going to show us mass attracting mass always, as this law would imply, which is your first claim yet to be actually backed by anything?
No, I'd like to talk about the density. I'd like
Why?
to talk
when
about
you're
the
trying to prove that mass attracts mass, that would be gravity.
Right. And you
so not
reject
density
any
then.
kind of
That's our
experimentation
explanation,
to prove
not
that,
yours.
don't you?
So no, not density. Your claim was you have a universal force, a law, no less, of gravity. Well, if it's a law,
and your claim,
you're talking. I'm asserting, reasserting your fallacious claim that you have not backed. You don't have to like it. I will hold your toes to the fire on your bullshit indefinitely if you don't back it. So, if you are to claim a universal law of gravity, actually your fundamentalist belief that you keep inserting into every explanation that actually describes relative density, then I will expect you to actually demonstrate mass attracting mass always. Oh my god, I'm being pulled towards the nearest huge mass. No, that's not happening.
Yes, it is.
So demonstrate it.
If you take 2 lead balls.
Again, circle jerk wanker asshole. How many times do I have to say? Step 1. Observe a naturally occurring phenomena. Did I say it slow enough?
The attraction between the 2 balls is naturally occurring.
Oh, is it really? Because I would say that you have made them do that when you built the apparatus. That's why when you observe natural phenomena, you observe it in the physical and natural world. You don't concoct it. You don't create it. That would be called, what's the term? Man-made.
Your man-made structure can be used to describe and see the natural phenomena of the law of universal gravitation.
Oh, yeah.
It's the law.
Not mine law, baby.
Oh, you just keep telling us that it's a law. You're just being a religious fundy. Don't just say with an elongated voice, like I do when I'm asking you to actually show it, that it's a law. Okay, well, if it's a law, it's something that happens always. So show me mass attracting mass always. How many times have we got to do this?
Very simply,
drop
when
2 things
are
in a
attracted
vacuum.
on the ground, yes, to the earth, you see the attraction. Now, why won't you
Hold on, you've just made another assertion, so let's just check that out. You've said all things with mass are attracted to the earth, so we're back to our example with 2 things of equal weight, 15 kilos each. So they're both going to go towards the earth, correct?
You give an alternative definition using density, and you won't even allow me to
what, assert your religious belief? No, you insert some fundy belief into your explanation of relative density. I'm going to call you on it and say you're yet to actually demonstrate this ever happening ever, let alone being a law that happens always. We don't see it on the apples, but apparently it's a law that happens always. No, that's nonsense. Yeah. It's never visualized, seen, demonstrated, ever. Ever.
Yes. That is called a demonstration. When you hang the lead balls, that's a demonstration.
A demonstration of what?
Experiment.
A demonstration of what? You being able to hang lead balls?
Of gravity. The law of gravity. That's what.
Sorry, where do we observe this law?
It demonstrates that they got the balls to claim that that is science.
Yeah, step one, my friend, observe a natural phenomena, not construct
and I'm
apparatus
observing
to
the
observe natural phenomena. That's not step one. Step one in the scientific method doesn't say construct an apparatus to show people this pseudoscience force that you've decided exists. That's not step one.
So this isn't really a debate.
That's not step
So
one.
You really don't want to know any answers. This is just what?
We've heard your answer. Yeah, you haven't given us any demonstrations of mass attracting mass always.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. You said look at apples
going to the ground. Now you won't let me explain why things lift, will you?
Sorry, you've just said things go to the ground. That's the force of gravity attracting to the earth, right?
Correct. The heaviest, yes, the most dense things go to the ground. Yes. The most dense things go to the ground. Show me that the most dense things don't go to the ground.
So that's density. In your explanation that you've just given us, you didn't once use the word gravity, and you said it's everything to do with density. The density is what causes it to go to the ground.
No, the gravity is what's called the density.
Oh, I see. So now, again, like a wanker, you've inserted your fundamentalist religious belief into an explanation that was quite concise until you inserted your religious fundamentalist belief into the explanation after the fact.
Can I ask you something real quick? You mean the gravity is causing buoyancy, right? Not density.
Correct.
Buoyancy, not
Absolutely.
density. Just
yes, gravity causes the buoyancy. Yes.
Yeah, but because density isn't, maybe the gravity causes density in terms of
Zinder,
the
what gravity? What
you
gravity?
You don't have buoyancy in outer space.
We're now describing something we've not been shown yet. We haven't been shown this, Zinder. We haven't been shown gravity yet. So why are we now talking about gravity like it's real while this asshole talks over me constantly?
You don't have density. You don't have buoyancy in free fall. Why is that? Why do you not have buoyancy in free fall?
Who gives a shit?
Because of air friction.
Oh, who gives a shit?
It's called air friction. Air friction.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Forget the air friction causes
you can eliminate. Zinder's come in and decided to back you. Right, and just decide to back you with your religious assertion of gravity.
Oh my God! See,
why are you saying "Oh my God" over the top of me? Yeah, just contain your ejaculations. This is your last opportunity. You're basically being very disruptive, and I'm sick of it. So, if I talk, you listen. That's the rules. If you don't like it, I will kick you out. So, you are yet to demonstrate this pseudo force you keep inserting into the explanation of relative density, and now Zinder's come on and said, "Oh yes, without gravity, buoyancy isn't possible." But you're yet to demonstrate... Was that you interrupting me again?
I was just...
interrupting me again, asshole. Yeah, I know. Stop doing it. So, you are yet to demonstrate mass attracting mass always. Your original assertion that we still have not had a demonstration of.
Yes, I have.
You can't call something a law unless you actually enforce that law. So where's the enforcement?
I don't call it a law. It's
his first words were, "There's a universal law of gravitation."
Dude, it's the first thing you said when you came in here. Was that it's a law?
Yes.
You kidding?
It is. It is a law. I said.
Oh right, that's it. I'm kicking you out, you double-speaking asshole. You never said it's a law, now you've just had it thrown back in your face and you said, yeah, it is a law. You're a double-speaking asshole. Piss off.
Or he just got really, really confused.
Do I still have the time to show the written down challenge of the angle of attack? Or did you want to talk about something else?
No, that's perfect. We've got 10 minutes left.
Yeah, sure. I just want to comment. I think this is what a lot of ball earthers do. They don't understand the scientific method. So obviously... the word science is bandied about, so when they come in here, they say we're using science. You drill them on it. They're asked, and this precisely. He was thinking. He was like, so it has to be a natural phenomenon. So he thought about it. He lost his cool at that point onwards, and it kind of went downhill from there. But I think the penny dropped, Nathan. I think you actually taught him the scientific method. So yeah, good stuff.
He certainly realized there's more to it.
Yeah, he definitely understood, because he thought, I'm going to come in and say Cavendish, and then I don't think he's heard this side of it about natural. Has to be
definitely not.
You know, guys.
Sorry, guys. I know Cinder's worked very hard
can I-
on this, and I actually want Cinder to present it because we've got about 10 minutes left on the live show.
Oh, no problem.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Right. Well, when I know this guy was way off, but when we have a debate like that, we really should, really honestly, just let the guy speak until he stops, and then rip him apart, and then let him try and come back from that. I mean, that was a bit painful. Everyone shouting over each other and then calling each other names and all that. I mean, seriously. You know, we should have let him
totally red herring us, though.
I know, but we should have let him, you know, go to his fullest extent of his red herring and then rip him apart, rather than let him turn it into a fight about who's the alpha male or not.
You notice on the mainstream media they actually do a similar tactic if they have any topics on they're sort of sensitive, like if they're talking about 9/11 truth on Fox News or something, the host of the show will interrupt the guest constantly when he's answering questions, and the whole purpose is it's like a tactic the mainstream media uses so there's no information that gets put out, because when you're constantly interrupting someone, you can't. There's no there's basically nothing's happening.
No,
There's
but what they're doing is they're
programming.
You make a good point, but what they're doing is programming the public to give that emotional response instead of actually giving information for them to contemplate. They give us, this is what you're supposed to be feeling about it.
Okay, that's
the program.
One of the things.
Can we just hold fire on it just for a few more minutes? Sorry, I'm really sorry. After there's an after show. We can discuss this at length as long as you like. But for now, I just want Zinder's angle of attack challenge to just go out to the public, if it's okay.
So I'm just going to show the 2 pages like now on screen share. Just to mention, I sent it to Anthony, and he looked at it and made some corrections. And so this isn't the final form, because the final form might be more in favor to the participants. That means every change that will be made in favor to the people claiming the $5,000. So I'm going to present it right now here. You guys can read it later. Just now that you can see it, Anthony has Anthony has the file too, so he can show it to you, Nathan or Arvin or whatever. So this is the first part, and this is the second part. If you guys disagree with something, or do you think that the term should be lowered a little bit, you can contact me on CinderH here on this email, and propose what should be changed, right? So the only changes that will be made in favor of you guys, if I would make any changes.
We should definitely forward this to Life is Short, because he would know exactly what to do, probably.
Yeah. So
I'm sure I'll take part.
Go on.
I was just saying, I'm sure I'll take part. That's the whole reason I want Zinder to present it. You know, great, yeah. And I'm sure I'll make it available if people want to study it at their leisure. It's been on screen now. He's gone through it.
Yeah, perfect. So you guys can read it carefully and tell me if you disagree with something. It is kind of the same challenge as I spoke out like 1 week ago, but I made it a little bit more specific. And in the second step, I added some other ways to bring an object back. So I think the second step will be the one that will contain the most discussion, and I might lower the terms a little bit towards the second step, if you can tell me specifically what you don't agree with.
Can you just summarize the 3 steps? We've got about 5 minutes left. If you can just summarize those 3 steps, that'd be the 3 different challenges in essence, or the 3 different parts, however you want to phrase it.
So in a nutshell, the first step is prove to me show to me an object disappearing button first over a proven to be flat surface. Go on, wait a moment. If the surface isn't flat, you have to prove to me that the object and the camera are at the highest point of the surface. That means that the line of sight has to be free from the camera to the object. Go on, ask your question.
I mean, already right there, it's an impossibility to say, prove the surface is flat. If somebody needed 30 miles to do this observation, you're just going to say there's 30 miles of curvature blocking the bottom.
Yeah, in the paper I've written down that I can read it to you, like footage from objects and any life forms disappearing bottom first over the horizon, the line at which the Earth's surface and the sky appear to meet, are not considered as evidence for step 1, because I say that there is a curve. You say that it's flat. So that's the whole point of the challenge, right?
So you're limited to within the quoted average 3 miles for a 6 foot height of viewing. So you have to do this observation within 3 miles, basically.
You have to do the observation on a proven to be flat surface. Like, I mean, Nathan did it with the book, but if he would go back and do the same observation and show me that the surface is flat, or show me that the line of sight is free, that would be enough for step 1. So, you know, I've heard the claim many times that there is evidence for step 1, but I've never seen it over a proven to be flat surface. So you can do it on over 100 meters, I think, too. Like, or I guess.
Well, you just not, yeah, but then I don't remember what number, but then you said the bottom 25% has to be blocked. Yeah. I don't think you're going to get 25% from 100 meters or whatever.
Well, Nathan made the whole book disappear, didn't he?
I was going to say that may or may not be the case. That's up to whoever enters part 1 of that challenge, Chris.
So, the thing is, if I won't get any results, let's say on probably 3 months or so, I might lower the terms to a lower number. Right.
To be perfectly honest, Cinder, I don't see what you've said so far to be in any way unreasonable. What you're saying is, if you're going to say, which is all anybody has done, including myself though so far, have said with qualification that this is flat because reasons. Well, that's not good enough, and you're asking for a higher standard. I think that's perfectly reasonable. It doesn't matter if you're using a mile-long factory that's been laid with concrete. If you can prove it's flat, then use that mile-long factory. But if it's 100 yards in some sports hall, and you can prove that's flat and get the same effect with a small aperture or however you want to do it, then so long as you can prove the surface is flat and rule out that there is anything about the floor that could cause the obstruction, that's what Zinder's asking for.
And as I said, if the surface isn't flat, it's not a problem. You just have to prove to me that there is a direct line of sight. You can take a laser to do so. So you know, when you use a laser, of course the light spreads. So at some point, the laser might even get blocked a little bit by the surface. But as a result, you will have like a half circle, right? And then you can show me that the object is over the part that is blocked. So there are a lot of ways to do so, and I might even present some on future debates, or might even show when I try it myself how it might be done. So the second step, which I think the most disagreement is bringing back an object that already disappeared bottom first, or bringing back the part that disappeared with a bigger aperture. For the second step, I allow bringing back things that disappeared over the horizon with a bigger aperture. It will be more in detail on it will be written down more in detail on the paper that I presented, and any changes that you guys suggest about it, will consider, and maybe I will lower the terms a little bit, so it will be easier to complete step 2. The third step is about...
That was a bit too concise. I'll just reiterate what you're saying. So for step 2, what Zinder's saying is, once an object has disappeared into the distance for whatever reason, bring it back with a larger aperture.
Yes. That's kind of what the angle of attack is about, isn't it, too?
Sure. Do you want to get to step 3, and then that'll be where I round out this show for the live audience, at least.
Yeah, so the third step is creating a model which can predict when the effect will occur, and you have to create one in which I can put in the aperture size, the height from the aperture to the ground, and the distance from the aperture to the object. and then the result will for the result an inaccuracy of 25% is allowed. That means that when the result will be like 10% obstruction, and I only observe 7.5% or 12.5%, this will be allowed. That means 25% of the result. I don't know if you understand what I mean. I can.
Yeah, I pretty much, I think I've got it. I'm going to try and do my damnedest to actually summarize it now. So step 1, essentially get something to disappear bottom first on a proven flat surface. Doesn't matter what size, but if you can prove that it's flat and get something to disappear, I think it's up to 25% from the bottom up. That would be step 1 in the $5,000 challenge. Step 2, bring something back. This can include things that have disappeared on the horizon by using a device with a bigger aperture. In other words, something disappears in the lens of an iPhone camera, you then bring it back with a P900. That would be step 2. Step 3 would be to essentially put this down into mathematical terms so that you can see a working equation to define how things disappear from bottom up, i.e. summarize the angle of attack in a model format or mathematical format. So that's step 1, 2, and 3 of Zinder's $5,000 angle of attack challenge. So be sure to take part. If you rewind a little bit, you can see the actual terms laid out on screen. With that, I'm going to say, if you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley, then stay tuned as the after show will follow. But for at least the time being, I will say a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you'd like to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate community, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Apparently not.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, hey, I was just gonna say you did a really good job on that debate with Fight the Flat Earth.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, John sent me a load of quotes. They were very funny. I've got a little correction for you, Zinder. So I'm going to have to eat a bit of humble pie here. So step 2 of your challenge, I said, I don't think that's possible. But I've actually seen it done now. So I think it absolutely is possible.
Perfect.
So I think it was show 4. I can't remember which one. It's probably not 4, but who cares? The QED series that Ranty did a 6-hour extravaganza of. I basically chopped it up into 6 parts and then put it out again, premiering over the last week. And in one of them, he had an actual... No, it wasn't. It wasn't in the demonstration. It's a recent video. I'm going to show you this. So I'm going to go on mute and see if I can dig this out for you, Zinta, so I can actually show it you.
Oh, great.
Talk amongst yourselves.
So just as in the paper, right? The people who claim the steps are to be done have to show me that their own observation, right? I've written it down because you can't like steal a video from someone else, for example, in general, right? You can't steal a video from someone else and claim it your own for as evidence for something. That would be kind of a little bit of cheating. So go on.
Yeah, of course. You've got to do the observation yourself.
Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to it. Go on, P.
I was gonna say I don't think the argument you were making is good about natural versus man-made, or because in science when they say natural, they're saying as opposed to supernatural, not as opposed to man, because man is part of the natural world in science.
That's complete bollocks.
Yeah.
It's not, because religion deals with supernatural, like God, heaven, angels. That's supernatural, and science deals with natural. That's like anything that's like would include humans. We are part of nature.
I agree with you on the natural thing, but at the end, I think it doesn't matter really.
Hey Zinder, can you put your?
Sorry, can I just
share your
read this
screen?
out just for 1 second? Got a definition on screen. The natural world. Noun. Definition of the natural world. All of the animals, plants, and other things existing in nature and not made or caused by people. So, your
that's not the right
fuckwittery
word.
about the supernatural is not what defines what science deals with, because science deals with the physical and, guess what, natural world. That would be all of the animals, plants, and other things existing in nature and not made or caused by people. Okay?
No, not okay. Because that's the incorrect
Okey-dokey.
definition, Nathan.
Yeah,
and
that
I'll
would
tell
be
you
a
why.
definition. That's correct.
Different words have different definitions.
Okay, different
based
word.
on, like,
Shut up. You're
for
an idiot.
instance, there's this thing called Black's Law Dictionary, right? And English words in legal, like legalese, they mean different things.
And we're not talking
the same thing with
legalese.
science.
Yeah, well, we're not in a courtroom, you
Science-
stupid idiot. We're not in a
No,
courtroom,
I'm
dickhead.
making it- it's an
This is not a
example,
courtroom.
Nathan,
Hello,
because
none of
science-
us are talking
the same-
legalese. Hello.
It's an example, Nathan, because the same thing is true with scientific terminology. Like scientific hypothesis is a different word than hypothesis. Like science has its own terminology, so
why do we
that
use the
definition you
same
used
word?
would not be the same word that we're talking about when we're saying the natural world in terms of like a scientific terminology. It's different. It'd be have a different definition. The one you read would not apply.
Citation
Hey.
needed. Go on then, Pete. Bring it up.
Hey P, do you know why? Do you know why that is? It's like, your language is a protocol. So you are speaking your own protocol over there, and we're speaking our protocol, and we're not gonna intercommunicate. Why would you do that? Unless it's only to confuse people and make
Well,
both.
that's what Nathan is changing the definition of words to win arguments.
No.
Because he doesn't have a real argument, so he does
you're
this
saying
debate tactic where
natural.
he
You're
tries
saying-
to control the definitions of words to win arguments
No, we're
since
not
he has no
controlling.
argument.
Controlling definitions.
No, that's
to
what
words?
Nathan
No.
is doing.
Oh, so
That's what
Nathan
Nathan's
is
doing.
modifying the dictionary. That's what he's doing.
Yes.
Oh, okay, got it.
That's how he wins debates. Okay.
I'm wondering what does the and mean between physical and natural in the definition of science? Is it a including and? Is it a and that that kinda excludes something? Like I don't know how to put it, but is the and related to the natural thing? Because if you say in physical and natural, you could say it is physical, either physical or natural, or it is physical and natural as the same, right?
No,
so
that's not what it says. That's not what science... Science doesn't deal with physical and natural. Physical or natural, let me get it right. It deals with the physical and natural world, not the physical or natural. Anyway, sorry, Zinder, on screen now. So we've got... This is the camera phone with the light disappearing. It does flip the view in a moment, but he's lifted the camera and there's the light at the end. So light, no light, light, no light with the camera phone. Then you just see the exact same thing at the same distance with his D500, I think it is.
Yeah.
Give it a second. There we go. 70D rather.
Oh, great.
And he couldn't get it to do it with the Canon. So there you go.
Yeah. So it would be a great evidence if he could show me the
floor was
distance
flat.
from the ground of both apertures.
Sure. I mean, you've got it wrapped up. I think it's a really good challenge. It's obviously a lot of work if someone does do it, and I think someone like Life Is Short has actually done the majority of the work already. So
great.
I hope he enters.
I hope so too.
Wait, Right. So why wouldn't that first part of the video with the light disappearing not already win your challenge?
Because it doesn't it doesn't agree with the terms.
Doesn't.
That are shown.
How so?
Well,
it meets step 1.
Step 2, I mean, bringing back the light, because I said that in step 2 I wrote down that the person has to show me that it is it has the same height towards the ground than the other aperture, right? So you.
Oh, I think he does actually do that.
He
in
can
that
lay
video.
it down to the ground.
Yeah, he does do that. I'll send you the links, Zinda, so you can just check it out. I mean, I'm pretty sure there'll be something that doesn't meet your criteria, but you know, he'll undoubtedly
there
want
will
to do
be
it fresh
because
anyway.
he added that you have to come up with a scientific theory and a calculation, an equation to account for it. So there's his get out clause.
What?
That's okay.
Well, when did I add it?
Hey.
Did I add it after the challenge?
No, but
I need to pick them
it's
up.
a get out clause.
Why?
Because you know. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I guess it's fine.
So I was saying that you know, in order to.
I think 12:15 should be okay.
Do you realise that you keep interrupting Dave, Chris?
Chris.
Okay. All right, I'll get him then.
I think he's on the phone.
I think I'll stick him on mute.
Yeah. What I was saying is that the get out clause is that you also, rather than just proving it, you know, physically, yeah, now we've got to come up with an abstract mathematical construct to account for it.
Well,
that's your get out clause.
I can test it then with the mathematical construct. That's what kind of is required to describe the world we live in.
So physical evidence of the world isn't good enough. You have to have an abstract mathematical theory to account for it. That's the bullshit I can't take.
Well, I mean, if you can't present such a thing, then it isn't consistent, and that means that probably there's something else causing it.
And you know what? With maths, I can actually construct something, a proof of anything with simply maths. Yeah.
No, you can't.
Yes,
because
you can.
You have to apply the mathematics to the real world. Obviously, you could create a theory like, I don't know, the string theory of that is kind of trying to combine the relativity to the quantum mechanic and whatever, but it is theoretical science.
We have a law of gravity that relies on something we cannot measure, we cannot test for. You know, black holes and dark energy, dark matter. Yeah, without that, the whole theory falls apart. So we have.
Let's not get too deep into it. But what my point was that you can't. Sorry, you can't just create a mathematical construct and say it's reality. You have to apply.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But you can create a mathematical construct that is based on the real world. Let's say the angle of attack thing is proven to be real. Then you can take it and create a model or equations that predict when will you see the effect occurring. And that's why I also put in 25% inaccuracy, because there might be other things that disturb it, right?
Well, I approached that idea in one of my talks. I called it Dave's banana theorem, where I can take the shape of a banana and with a bit of clever maths, I can apply it to the movement of the planets. Yeah, and that's all it is. It's a construct that matches, matches some observed phenomena. Yeah, according to you, Newton is still relevant, even though Newton's theories, even though he created a whole branch of mathematics to explain his theories. and they turn out to be wrong. So that whole mathematical construct was bullshit.
Well, don't you agree that when you apply mathematics to something real, like let's say to measurement systems, right? So you have let's say you have a scale or whatever with 1 inch and then 2 inch and then 3 inch, etc. So you can say, all right, if you put 10 of those scales, I will have, I don't know, 1 feet or whatever, and then you can apply it further. So you can take measurements of the real world and put them into mathematics, and then predict when something will occur.
Most of the time.
Yes. So
most of the time. Now, mathematics is a human construct, yeah, which really doesn't match the real world, because if we wanted a real world mathematics, we'd use something based on the Fibonacci sequence, which has a direct correlation with the real world. Everything is created according to the Fibonacci sequence, not the linear number sequence that we use.
Yeah, but anything we observe on the Earth, at some point, obviously, it will be too complicated to put into a mathematical construct. But in theory, it is possible to put observations in a mathematical construct, and then with the mathematical construct, you can then predict what will happen as next, right? So it is possible for everything on Earth if we would have the capacity, like the computer capacity and smart enough people to actually make it. But obviously, you have to take the real world and put it into mathematics in order for it to work.
No, the real world is the real world. If you say, oh, the real world does this, and then you produce some mathematics that says otherwise, which is real? It's the real world that's real, not mathematics.
Yeah, but we started a discussion because of the angle of attack, right? So if you take let's say if I have an aperture with the diameter of 1 centimeter and the height of 1 centimeter towards the ground and the distance of 10 meters, and then let's say half the object will disappear, then it should be possible to model it, so I can know when will the effect occur and how much of the effect will be visible.
Because you know what, there are several factors going on in that phenomena. Yeah, when you're looking across water at some distant object, yeah, you get the Fata Morgana effect, right? Which does hide half an object. Yeah, it hides the bottom half of an object because the top half of it is reflected down in this atmospheric effect. So there are several effects going on. One's perspective, one's this atmospheric effect. You cannot give a mathematical rationale for incorporating all of these effects. You can't do it.
Well, the Fata
So it's your get out clause.
The Fata Morgana thing isn't always. It doesn't always occur, right? It depends on atmospheric conditions and so on, right?
Indeed, and
yes.
that's real world. Yeah, you can't model that in maths.
Well, I mean, all right, that is a good point you made. So I think I will put into step 3 that it should work at a certain percentage of time. So, like, you can, after you made the model and after you tested it, you can say, all right, under certain conditions it doesn't work. So I might accept other things, like
you still want somebody to come up with a mathematical model of what we're seeing. Yeah.
Yes. So I can test it for myself. I can test the effect for myself then.
Well, right? You know what? I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a mathematician. Okay, I don't really give a toss about maths. All right, really, seriously. Okay, I don't need to have a theory and a mathematical explanation for things, and I can't construct one. And I don't know too many people outside of the the mathematical establishment who are and who care as much to build one. So again, it's a get out clause.
Nathan, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
There was a person, right, who came pretty close to a model of the angle of attack, wasn't there? The one person who talked to Renty on the, I think those were 6 videos he presented.
Yeah, life is short.
Oh, life is short. All right, perfect. So here you have it. Like, life is short already did something that might be like considered evidence for step 3.
Okay, well then that's great. I hope he comes up with something to your satisfaction. But the point I'm trying to make is when you prove something in real life, that's enough. Yeah, if you do an experiment and show the show the effect you're after, yeah, that's good enough. If that experiment can't be disproved, it can't be shown that it's some other thing going on. Right, then that is good enough.
Well, but without the model, I can always claim that something else is going on than the angle of attack. You know.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
I think they're kind of putting the cart before the horse in some ways. I love what Nathan's analogy is with Narnia. If mathematics is a form of language, it can be used to describe reality. But it doesn't always necessarily describe reality. I can read the Chronicles of Narnia and have this beautiful view of this world that exists out there, but it doesn't really exist. But I can look out my back window and talk about a deck, sunset, a bunch of trees, a table, a bunch of houses, and that's reality. So because I'm looking at it, I'm experiencing. I think Dave's talking about the experience. And I think the other one, mathematics can describe reality, But if you just put mathematics into play, say, okay, this is reality, it starts to fall apart. And I think that's what Dave's saying.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I can program a video game and put in some certain rules, mathematical rules that I don't know, that when like up is down and down is up, and like non-Euclidean geometry, which, like, I don't know, you look through a tunnel and the tunnel will be like 100 times longer than when you look from it from outside, for example. Of course, you can apply mathematics to stuff that isn't real, and then you get a result that doesn't correspond with the real world. That's what I agree with.
But I don't think you can start with mathematics. You have to start with observation and trying to figure out the world, and then you can try to use mathematics to describe what you're seeing.
Yes, that's why it is step 3 of my challenge. So
right, but you can also make up some mathematics that describes the situation we're talking about, but then not match the rest of reality.
Yes, then it will not be accepted as step 3. I mean, like, create a model. I wrote down create a model or an equation that predicts reality with following functions, and then I will go. I will describe what the model has to do. So I see no problem with that. I mean,
I just see it as a falsity.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Dave. Can I just put my objection to that? And I think it's akin to what Dave's saying. So what Dave's described is, if you have an experiment, you're establishing the effect, the cause of said effect. In other words, that would be a scientific prediction, i.e. a hypothesis. Whereas mathematical models can't do that. They can't make a scientific prediction. They can only make a general, correlation. Well, it doesn't prove anything. That's the point.
Yeah, but it allows people to test it with the model, right?
No, that's the point. Not at all. When you test your model, I'll stop saying it in those terms. When people test the heliocentric model, they're not testing what happens in reality. That's Dave's point. What happens in reality happens in reality. So if you have a mathematical model of something and you start testing that, well, then you're reifying the model. If you say, well, this happens in reality because, look, I've got a model that does it. No, you don't. That's very wrong and very bad. Because, no, the model will never represent reality, ever.
It will... for example, if I can test that when I... For example, mathematics, let's say mathematics says that when you halve something, like when you break something in half, you will always have two equal same length objects in the hand. Like when you halve a stick, you will have at the right hand you will have the same length as in the left hand. So that's something you can test, right?
No,
all right.
Because you then...
here's another example. Then, okay, what does maths say if you flip a coin 100 times? Yeah, how many times does maths say that it will land on heads?
Well, that's probability, and
No,
it
it's still
says
maths.
50%. Yeah,
well,
it doesn't.
But in real life, no, it's not going to be 50% because.
Yeah, 51 or 49. Yeah.
Occasionally, it's the coin's going to land on its edge. Occasionally, the coin's going to roll off somewhere else, and you don't find out whether it's heads or tails. Yeah. The point is that reality is reality, and maths is maths, and neither the twain shall meet. Maths is just a reference to reality. It's not reality itself.
I agree. Math isn't reality. That's what I completely agree with you, and but when you apply certain observations into maths, you can take the maths and then predict how certain things will occur.
No,
like
I've got it. That's where I interjected last time. So, if you're dealing with the physical and natural world, what we observe, a prediction would be a scientific prediction, something that's predicting something occurring in the physical and natural world. That's science. But when you say the word prediction, you mean a mathematical prediction, non-scientific. Well, therefore, not dealing with the physical and natural world, but dealing with numbers. So not relevant to the natural and physical world.
I'm not talking about science here.
That's the problem. We are. When we talk about the natural world, that's precisely what we are talking. That's exclusively what science deals with, Cinder.
But I'm not. I'm not applying science.
Physics is about the natural world, and that's almost all math. Physics is entirely based, like mathematically.
Yeah, but just real quick, he had a problem with step 3, right? And step 3 doesn't require science. I mean, I don't expect from you guys that you will prove it scientifically, the angle of attack thing. So I don't know why science came up here. I'm not talking about science here.
Because beyond that, you've got Mystic Meg predictions.
What do you mean?
Well, you've got scientific predictions, something that you can establish through systematic experimentation. Well, what you're asking for is repeated observation. Well, observation could be classified as, if it was of a phenomena, part of the scientific method to establish the cause of an effect. Well, you're almost defining the effect as a phenomena, but it isn't.
But if you want apply science to it, you can, of course. But that is not my requirement, as I said already. So what made you think that I was talking about science when I when we talked about step 3?
Because you used the word prediction, and you're under the impression that your prediction, when using said mathematical model, represents something in reality, and it does not. To represent what happens in reality, you would require science, something that studies the physical and natural world and establishes the cause of an effect in that said natural world. But that's the real world. Mathematics is not that.
Yeah, I agree that mathematics isn't the real world, but let's say you drive in a car and you drive at 100 miles per hour and you drive for 1 hour, then you always then you can be sure that you the distance you passed was 100 miles, right? So that's where mathematics can kind of predict what happens in the real world if you stick to it. So that's kind of what step 3 is about. There is always a correlation between things, including the angle of attack thing.
There you
can
go.
scale it.
You've used that great word, correlation, right?
Yeah.
But we're talking at cross purposes. So you're trying to establish, presumably, the cause when describing the angle of attack. So the cause of something mathematical. Now, you might be able to describe that mathematically, but you cannot explain it mathematically. That would be left to the realms of science.
Oh, I don't need an explanation for it.
I'm nearly there.
Yeah, sorry.
The descriptions can give you a correlation only. That's the point.
Yeah. But there will be a correlation for the angle of attack too, right?
Yes.
Or do you think there will not
Sure,
be?
but that doesn't give you descriptions of the real world. We're going round in circles, I feel.
Oh yeah, but if I have
what Twitter's trying to say, I think maybe I don't. I was thinking of like artillery gunners. When they're shooting artillery, they use a lot of math, so to speak. They figure out the angle, they figure out the distance, they figure out so many factors that mathematically they can figure out, and they'll use those figures to be able to hit the target at whatever range they're wanting to hit it. I think that's kind of what you're saying in one sense of the word. Math is used in that frame, but of course, that math that they're using has got to match the reality of the real world that they're doing that in.
Yes.
I think that's kind of what you're saying. But that's why I was saying math should describe reality, but it isn't necessarily reality. And the only way you can use math is if it completely corresponds with the way the real world is. So I'm just trying to actually.
Well, if you read the definition of scientific law in Wikipedia, it says they're developed from either facts or through mathematics and are strongly supported by empirical evidence. So scientific laws are developed through the use of mathematics.
No. A law, a natural law is something that you observe occurring always. Nothing to do with mathematics.
Well, I'm just reading the definition from Wikipedia about scientific law, and it would say that you're incorrect. So.
All right. I think you did this last time, actually, P.
I mean, this is what I was saying earlier about how you manipulate the debate by controlling the definitions of words. So you win your argument. When you don't know, you get the incorrect definitions because you get them from John Stunja, who's an idiot.
No, sorry. Number one, my definitions are not from John Stunja. The last one, for the physical and natural world, was from Merriam-Webster. Number two, I do not control definitions. I am not the Oxford Dictionary. I am not Merriam-Webster.
That's your debate tactic, Nathan. You control the definition of the word.
So you're going to repeat it. I am not the Oxford Dictionary. I have no control over the definition of words. Okay, P? Maybe say it a third time. Like it'll have more strength that way.
You find the incorrect definition. Use the incorrect definition, Nathan. That's what I'm saying.
So Merriam-Webster's wrong.
There's multiple definitions of words. You do not understand how language works.
We're into
how
this
long
now.
have you been speaking English?
You seem to be ignoring me. So, Merriam-Webster is wrong, according to you, P. Yes or no?
Do you beat your wife? Did you stop beating your wife? Yes or no?
Sorry, P, we're talking about...
Did you stop beating your wife? Yes or
P.
no?
Yeah.
Did you stop beating your wife? Yes or no?
You're really clever. Yeah, I don't control definitions.
Well, yes or no questions. Sorry, yes or no questions are sometimes kind of stupid. I have to agree with Pete on that.
Oh, so me asking whether or not his statement that number one, I control definitions, and number two, that my cited definition is the wrong definition, to clarify whether or not when he says Merriam-Webster by extension, the definition I got, was wrong, to clarify whether or not that's actually the case, that's unreasonable, is it?
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
Why are you swearing?
When
No need. But you think that's unreasonable, P? So he's saying the definition I cited is wrong, even though it's not my definition, it's Merriam-Webster's definition. But apparently that's the wrong definition according to him.
But he probably means it is wrong how you use the definition, like what you apply it to. So I have never read his definition, whatever. So I have no knowledge about the this topic. But
let me fill you in. With him. No worries, I can fill you in. So he said, natural world means not supernatural. So I went and got up a definition of natural world, and it said something completely contrary to his assertion that it means not supernatural. So my definition flew in the face of that, but apparently that makes Merriam-Webster wrong. And I was seeking clarity if he actually thinks that the definition given by, not me, but Merriam-Webster is in fact wrong. That's why I asked him yes or no. Is that the incorrect? Are they wrong? Of course not, it's just a definition of a word.
Oh, he talked it in concept about science, right? The person you just cited.
Oh, the natural world.
Yeah. What was he talking about? Science in that concept, or what was it talking about it?
He said natural means not supernatural.
Yeah. I mean, the person you cited was talking about science when he was talking about the natural world. Right.
Right, and Merriam-Webster were talking about quite very specifically, in fact, as stated, the natural world. That thing that we were trying to define, that Pete said not supernatural, and when I brought it up it said not man-made. But there we go. Clearly they're wrong, according to P. Oh, my bad. It's me that's wrong, because I make these definitions.
Yeah, I was just wondering if the context was just, or if you took it from another context. So if you took it from the right context, and then you asked a yes or no question, I think that's completely a valid question you made. So
fair
yeah.
enough.
So that's my answer to it.
Fair enough, Zindo.
Perfect. I will revalidate the third step too. But I think that as we talked before, right, that the correlations should be visible towards the angle of attack, right? If I, for example, right, if I have an aperture 1 centimeter diameter, 1 centimeter above the ground, and 10 meters distance is an object that disappeared for, like, I don't know, 50% of it disappeared, I should be able to make a model that kind of tells me how distant the object has to be in order to disappear a certain way, right? And I won't use that for objects that are really, really, really far away, because obviously there are atmospheric conditions and so on that can't be calculated. Like, but in terms of, like, I don't know, 1 kilometer or like 1 mile to 100 meter, that distance, I think it should be able to predict when it will occur. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, like I say, I think Life is Short has pretty much got that already. So hopefully he'll represent it in a format that's conducive with your challenge, along with a couple of observations of something coming back with aperture and proving his flaws level.
Well, yeah, and he only has to send me an email with that, and I can tell him when I have time to discuss it with him if there is a need for discussion.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, just to clarify in your rules, you have so I don't know what the third one is, but so the first one is you show the obstruction at about a 25% obstruction, and then so the second one is you have to bring the bottom of the object back. Like you have to do all three to win the prize. Is that right?
Yes, and different persons can challenge different steps, and then the money will be distributed among them.
So what if it's not possible to bring the bottom back just by zooming? Because you're basically zooming into the same obstruction that's causing the obstruction in the first place, right?
Well, I think Zoom. I think Zoom won't bring it back, right? Because Zoom doesn't increase the aperture size, right? I think Nathan told me, right, that when you zoom in with a P900 and you zoom further, the object won't be brought back because you don't increase the aperture size of the object itself, right? Of the camera.
So earlier, Chris, did you see what I put on screen for Zinder with the demonstration by Life is Short with his iPhone and P70 or whatever it was, Canon?
Yes.
Well, in that demonstration, he's got two different. I can't remember what I think he calls them modes. I can't remember the exact terminology he uses, but you move up into a different viewing mode. So from your eye to a camera phone, from your camera phone to a pair of binoculars, from a pair of binoculars to a telescope. And that's the difference that Zinder's describing, i.e. an increase in aperture rather than just zooming. So most of the demonstrations, flat earth or otherwise, are of somebody with a fixed mode of viewing, i.e. a P900 or a P1000, whatever, and then they zoom in. So they just show you what's there, and they might even watch it leave their camera's field of view, in other words, disappear out of range, whatever. Might be conditions, but not relevant. The point being that eventually they see the boat disappear, and when that happens, they've not got anything else to go to. Whereas what Zinder's describing is you watch, well, you'd have to film it. So you film it with an iPhone and watch the boat disappear into the horizon and then go. And you can't do anything. You do your zoom with your phone, you pinch to zoom and it doesn't come back. Then you go to a low level 10 times optical zoom camera, totally different but with a bigger aperture. And then you zoom in with that and see if you can get it to bring back. And if it disappears out of view as it carries on its travels towards the horizon, you then pick up a P900 and then bring it back again. In other words, you're scaling up the aperture size by going from mode to mode.
Yeah. So in step 2 here, I included wait, where is it? The third option that you can use is like you can bring back objects that disappeared over the horizon. So the surface doesn't have to be proven to be flat for step 2, right? So you since I claim that there is curvature and you guys claim that it is flat, I thought like, all right, if there really is curvature, then you shouldn't be able to bring it back at all, right? The object has disappeared. So this observation can be made by really, really vast distances. It doesn't have to be done on 100-meter surfaces.
Ah, now I see. Right. So it does have some element that can support ball. In other words, if the assertion that the horizon is a physical obstruction, the leading edge of the sphere that you're looking over, then as Zinder correctly points out, it would be impossible to bring it back with a bigger aperture because it's gone beyond a physical obstruction.
Yes. That's
Genius.
kind of what
Genius.
So if someone really brings the object back, and I wrote down here that it has to occur in like in 30 minutes difference from when you change the aperture, because like what did I write here? Like bringing back at least 25% of an object that was missing over the horizon is allowed under following conditions. Like the same rule applies above, and you can read it then if you want. Then no physical changes towards the objects were made between switching the aperture. So you can't just like, I don't know, nuke the building or whatever you were looking at and say, oh, right here it is obstructed now, right? So and then like not more than 30 minutes shall pass between the both footages. So in other words, like you can't like make the observation and then wait a week, and then the atmospheric condition will be completely different, right? And then say, all right, it's proof. So you have to do it after you made the first observation.
Gotcha.
And I think it's kind of fair, yeah.
Can you just, so it tails on to the end of the show, can you just give us your email address so that anybody who wants to contact you for either the terms and conditions or to claim that they've won can get in touch
All
with
right, I can give it again, of course. And on the paper, the email address was written down too, so everyone who has seen it during the live show, the email address was visible there.
So it's zynderage@gmail.com.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of the premiering audience in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley YouTube channels. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and join the community forum to keep up to date with the Flat Earth community debate. And also be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!